A suicide bomber blew himself up near the house of politician Wali Khan in Pakistan's northwest on Thursday, killing at least 4 people.
I am only prepared to talk to people who will lay down their arms, who will accept the writ of the government. Wherever the writ of the government is not accepted, and where people think that they'll shoot us and we will not hit back, I want to make it absolutely clear. If I'm hit, I'll hit back. And I'll hit back very, very strongly.
The bombings came as violence in Pakistan continues to make the headlines. The Real News spoke to Beena Sarwar in Karachi about the ongoing crisis in Pakistan.
It does seem, probably from the outside, that the violence in Pakistan is escalating. But this is a problem that is not new. It is a problem that we've been facing for many years, particularly since the end of the war in Afghanistan against the Soviets. And at that time, the Mujahideen, the United States and Pakistan both trained and armed the Mujahideen. They have now morphed into the Taliban. In the meantime, also the local groups, the homegrown militants as they're called, are also operating, and they have a pretty much one-point agenda, which is a sectarian agenda, which is against the Shiite population of Pakistan. So you have those groups as well, and I think over the last few years, the agendas of these two, of the Taliban and these local homegrown militants, has converged, and basically they're out to sort of establish their version of an Islamic state. And I think one of the reasons that's contributed to that is the lack of a democratic process in Pakistan, the fact that there's been an army sort of controlled government in power, and people haven't had a chance to express themselves in a democratic way, and we've had a democratically elected government for the first time in about 10 years, and it's going to take it some time to unravel it. The border has always been very porous between Pakistan and Afghanistan, but we've also seen a greater increase in the sophistication of the weapons used. So they're using much higher quality explosives, they're using a greater quantity of explosives, and I don't think this would be possible without some kind of leaks within the security apparatus in Pakistan. The intelligence agencies have been linked with these groups, with these local homegrown militants as they're called, because they were helping them. The intelligence agencies really have to be reined in, and even as they are reined in, maybe there are elements within those agencies that still have links to these groups. The Chief of Army Staff, General Kiani, has just appointed a new Chief of Intelligence of the Inter-Services Intelligence, ISI. That outfit has become a kind of amorphous monster where nobody seems to be accountable to anybody, and even if the government will be following one policy, and the ISI or elements within the ISI will be following another policy. And maybe this reshuffling has to do with getting rid of some Musharraf loyalists and putting in people who will be loyal to the new Chief of Army Staff, because the army is or should be subservient to the government and not the other way around as it has been in the past in Pakistan. People are getting fed up of this war, especially those on the border areas who were first basically running scared of the Taliban elements when we were caught in the crossfire between the Pakistan army and the militants. And now we're getting bombs rained on us from the American missiles. So that's one aspect of it. And secondly, the phenomenon of tribesmen themselves taking up arms against the Taliban. Now that is something that cannot happen without the Pakistan government support. So the Pakistan government itself is cultivating tribesmen. Now you see the government actually arming the tribesmen and providing them with weapons. You've had policemen abandoning their posts and letting the Taliban pretty much take over. I think people are pretty fed up. I think that there's the disillusionment, of course, is setting in, that this government has been in power for 6 months, and what have they done? They've been going off on foreign tours, and there's a war at home, and the president himself, in fact, said when he was in New York that we are at war. But this is a war that Pakistan has been at for decades now. We've had bombings and attacks and sectarian killings going on for the last 2 or 3 decades. It's been going on. The violence has escalated. Prices have escalated. Inflation is at an all-time high. Food inflation is at an all-time high. People find it very difficult to see any silver lining in all this. If there is a silver lining, we need to grasp at it and we need to strengthen it somehow. And that is the fact that the democratic process is continuing, that the political parties, even when they are against each other, they are not being as vicious about each other, and nobody is calling the army in to solve matters now. And that is a change from the past, and I hope that it can stay on this road so we can move forward.